Hello, welcome back to another one of these videos. Today we are going to be covering Anti-Knight. We'll go and get right into it. This rule set is kind of not similar to Knight, but it operates off of Chess Knight logic. The basic way that it works is that each mine cannot have a mine that is a Chess Knight's move away from it. So you can see that these two have that kind of distance from them, so they are illegal. And more specifically, a Chess Knight's move, if you're not aware, is basically it can move 2 in a vertical direction and 1 in a horizontal direction, or 2 in a horizontal direction, 1 in a vertical direction. So actually here, something we're going to kind of do to illustrate the Chess Knight's move is I'm going to go over to the Knight rules, because this type, it makes each of the clues represent the mines within a Knight's move, but it's pretty nice for actually seeing what a Knight's move is, right? So you can see it's 2 up, 1 over, like that, or similar thing for it down, or 2 horizontally, 1 up and down, like this kind of thing. So basically, yeah, this rule just operates on the mines instead of the clues. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Alright, first of all, just by normal sweeper logic, we know this one must be a mine. None of these can be a mine just because there's one mine there. We can also now mark both of these as non-mines because we already have a mine there, and those are a Knight's move away. From normal Minesweeper logic, we also get this. That's from Anti-Knight. And then we know neither of these can be mines either, so there we are. One thing we can actually notice is that regardless of where we put the mine on this one, both of them rather cover this square, right? And there can never be a mine there. So we can mark this as a non-mine as well. Okay. But we actually also knew that there was a mine just from this stuff down here. We can also mark all of these as non-mines. Mark that as a mine from this 2 and 1 interaction right here. This one's a non-mine just from this one. And we can now kind of see that we have 2 mines here that are within a Knight's move away. So we know there will only be at most 1 mine in that kind of group, I guess. But there are only 2 other open cells, so we know that both of these must be a mine, and then there must be a mine in one of those 2. Anyway, that's a Knight's move away. This 2 is also just finished. This one's no longer a mine, so there we go. We can mark off both of these. We can mark that from this mine right here, and this is going to allow us to finish the puzzle, just basically finishing up clues, and we can see that we have gotten all of our mines, so there we go. We'll go ahead and move on to a more difficult puzzle of this, and then we'll I guess I cannot access from here. And then we'll move on to some combinations. These puzzles tend to go pretty quickly, I find, but yeah. We'll go ahead and see. Maybe not, actually. Okay. So I guess one thing that we can kind of consider here, I guess first we're going to see what happens if, I guess we could see what happens if this one's a mine. Then we get some non-mines in some of these cells. These are the only ones that seem relevant for now. We also know there must be a mine up there, that neither of these are going to be mines, right? And that's because, there can only be at most 1 mine in this region, just from the 2. That puts a mine down there, but that marks this one as here's an odd mine. We also know there must be a mine still in that region, so that gets the rest of these. But this actually breaks this 3, because we can see we have 2 pairs of cells that are a mine, or a Knight's move away. So that tells us this one up here cannot be a mine. There we are. Okay. I guess the next thing we can consider is if there is a mine up here, what happens. That marks both of these ones as non-mines, but then in order to finish up this 2, we need mines in both of these. But then this runs into the same problem before with this 3, so we can go and also mark this one as well. And, okay. I guess the next thing we can consider is if there's a mine like, I don't know, over here, for instance, I guess. Okay, then we get no mines in either of those, no mines in any of these. Then we have a mine in both of these locations. That marks this one's a non-mine, marks this one up here as a mine, and this one down here is a mine. And now this works fine. Okay. Darn, I was kind of hoping there'd be a way to leverage this one to work for us, but unfortunately it doesn't seem super likely that there will. I mean, at least not with that one. Maybe there are other ways, and there probably are, to be honest. But, yeah. Okay. I guess now we can consider, since we know there'll be at least 1 mine over here, we can consider what happens if each of them are a mine, right? So then we get all of this just from this one being a mine, and from our non-mines. So there we are. Okay. Now if we can instead consider this one's a mine, then we get both of these as non-mines here. And, okay. I don't know if any of these are really going to give us a lot, unfortunately. I guess both of those give us some information on the mine down there. And this also tells us, this blue line actually gives us a lot of information for just being one mine. So there we go. Okay. Also, actually tells us there's going to be another mine in that region. So this blue one actually is not mutually exclusive with these. It's actually mutually inclusive. So that's interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll leave this here. It's fine. Okay. I guess we can then consider what happens if just there isn't a mine here, right? Then we know, well, I guess first of all we can see what happens if both of these are mines. Then we get that the last mine must be over here. No mines in either of these. There are mines in both of those. There's also a mine up there. Okay, that seems to work fine. Next we'll consider there's just one mine over there. What happens? Then we get mines in both of these cells. That of course works fine. Okay. Critically, we can also, well, I guess not necessarily critically, we can see that there are not going to be mines in either of these either, or just, I guess, any of those, or these ones. There we are. Okay. Unfortunately, this doesn't really give us more information, though. Other than, though, it's kind of hard to see all of the implications of these. Honestly, if we assume that there is a mine down here, then we get this information, which is something, I guess. But this is all running off the assumption this one appears not a mine, which is not necessarily true. If anything, actually, it's likely not going to be true, I feel like. Okay. Lastly, we can see what happens if there is, I guess, a mine up here, and if this has any commonalities, but I don't think it matters if it does with some of them, because it is not going to cover all of them. Okay, maybe instead a different tech to look at is what happens if there just isn't a mine down there. Then we get both of these must be mines, which runs into a problem. There we go, that was what we should have been looking at. So we know there's a mine over there, right? Okay. So we can now kind of just run through each of the three cases for this 2 and see if this kind of leads us to any information. So first of all, this case right here is relatively fine, seems like. If there's instead a mine over there, then once again we can mark off all the mines around the 1 and this one down here as well. Whoops, there we go. Okay. It's fine. But if there's instead a mine over here, that one marks all of these. But unfortunately it doesn't really give us a lot else in terms of like this one, for instance. Which is a little tragic. I guess we can also notice that in this red case there must be a mine here. In the yellow case though, we actually get some information about the mines around this too, which is specifically that, well, no, actually we don't necessarily get any. Unfortunately. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess also in the red case we actually know that this one over here must be the last mine. Okay, so the red case does give us some information about this region as well, which is interesting. But unfortunately not a lot else. I'm trying to see if there are any other things that can kind of be spotted, but I'm not really seeing a ton of them, unfortunately. Especially like in the context of the yellow case. I feel like there should be more we can get from it, but it doesn't necessarily look like it. That's all good. Okay. So I guess next thing we can kind of consider is just maybe instead some of the mines around this 1, given that we now have more information about the 2, right? And I'm gonna kind of, I feel like I'm brute forcing this one a little bit, and I am, but that's okay. It's kind of, I feel like sometimes I have to solve some of the more difficult puzzles just by trying things out, seeing like what works, what doesn't, you know? That kind of thing. So if it's up there, we get all of that, that works fine. Next, if it's over here, and I don't think I'm gonna mark all the ones around the 1 as being not mines, because that's kind of not trivial, but yeah, to some degree it is. Anyway, either way, we can see that this one over here is also not a mine in this case, which is interesting. Okay. Then we know that one will also be a mine here. Well, unfortunately, looks like that's more or less all the information we can gather. We do know one of those two will be a mine, so this one cannot be a mine. There we go. I think we can kind of get the same thing from both of these as well. No, actually, no, we don't get that information, which is useful, right? Because if it's blue mines here, for instance, then we get that this one's still not a mine, but not a lot else, right? Yeah, well, no, actually we got that one down there is not mine, so that marks this one's a non-mine as well. Okay. And this blue case just applies for both of these, so it's kind of whatever. Now, if there's a mine down there, then first I'll get this one up here as a non-mine. That's kind of whatever. Okay. I guess one thing we can consider is, regardless, there's always going to be at least one mine in one of those two, so we know this one can't be a mine. Similarly, in the blue case, since we know that there has to be a mine in... actually, we know there has to be a mine in both of these in the blue case, don't we? Yeah. So we also know this one won't be a mine either. So there we are. Okay. Now, though, in the purple case, we already showed that one. It's not a mine. I wonder if that one's just never a mine. It feels like it might be the case that just isn't a mine. Not possible to really show it right now, though. Okay, yep, no, it's just the case this one can never be a mine. There we are. Okay, cool. I'm going to go and just get rid of that for now. I don't know if that much marking is going to be super helpful, unfortunately, but alright. I guess the next thing we can kind of consider is if this 2 gives us a lot of new information. Maybe, I don't know, it's hard to necessarily tell for sure right now what we're going to be able to use this 2 for. Maybe first we can just kind of consider each of the surrounding mine possibilities. So we'll go ahead and do these. We're not going to mark those for, well, no, we should. We'll go ahead and do it. But yeah, this one's definitely going to be a lot more trial and error than I feel like a lot of the variants are. Partially because it's just a more difficult puzzle. We can also, well, actually we know that one's not a mine, so all of these must be mines. This one's no longer a mine either. Neither are either of those. And, okay, there we go. I think that's all the information we can gather from this kind of combination. Next we can consider this, and actually we can always see that, and this is actually something I should have been able to find earlier, since this cell right here covers 2 of these cells with a Knight's Move, we know it cannot be a mine, because if it were, then this clue would break. So, cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there are any other ones in the grid currently that do that, but that is a fairly common tactic, especially with 2s that have very limited structures to them. Okay. I guess I'm not sure what else I can really look for currently. I guess we can consider what happens if these 2 are a mine. This might run into actually problems, I feel like, with putting mines around the 2. Yeah, okay. So then this implies for this 2, we know there can only be at most 1 mine over there, so that means the last mine for it has to be over here, but that actually covers both of these, which is a problem. Right? Yeah, because the 2 cannot be completed, so we thus know there must be a mine here. We can go ahead and mark all of those. Cool. Alright. Okay. I guess now we can consider there are only 3 possibilities for the mines on this side of the 2. One of them is just there's only 1 mine right here. And that gives us all 3 of these are mines. And also this one's a mine. So there we are. We can mark off both of those. And this one up here and that one up there. And also this one. So there we go. This actually gives us a decent amount of information. Kind of under that assumption. We can also get all of this. This actually fills up a large amount of the grid, and 7, 8. Okay, actually, yeah, this is just straight up all of the remaining mines in this case, so we're actually just going to remember that yellow is a complete, I guess, map of remaining mines. So that's one possibility. Alright. Yeah, I guess the next one is that there's just a mine down here, and that there is not a mine up there. I guess, yeah, no, actually, that is under these assumptions that there is no mine down there. Maybe I'll mark this real quick in just a red case, just so it's clear. We know the last mine for this 3 must be over there, because both of these cells are covered. Yeah, we'll keep that in there for now. So this one cannot be a mine. Neither actually can any of these, really. So there we go. This one also can't be a mine. And, okay. We also got this one's not a mine either, but that might be all we get from this. And lastly, if we instead assume both of these are mines, then we get this one here is a mine. So over here is not a mine, neither of these are also mines. Okay. And then we can see this one must always be a mine, is one conclusion we've gathered. Cool. And can we get anything else from this assumption that we don't get from the other one? Yes, actually, we know this one also can never be a mine. Just recalling that this yellow case covered that as well. Okay. And this one up here is also never a mine. There we are. Okay. And cool, we actually now have shown that the yellow case is not allowed, just because that would overload the 2 with both of those mines. So, okay. We can, basically what we can do to sum up this conclusion is just there must always be a mine down here. So this allows us to make some other conclusions as well about the mines, like there also isn't a mine there, for instance, and the last mine for this one must be one of those 2. Okay, these mines are nice to move away, so this one must be a mine to finish up the 2, since both of those can't be. I'm gonna finish up some more clues here, and okay. I guess the next thing to consider would be where some of the other remaining mines around some of these clues are. Like, first I think I'll just consider, I guess, maybe this one clue here. It's only got 3 options. So first, we can see if there's a mine there, then we know that this one must be a mine. That one can't be a mine. Neither of these can be mines either. We get all of this. Okay. And so now we have 1, 2, 3. The last mine must be one of those 2, so this one also cannot be a mine. Now then, if we instead consider if this one down here is a mine, then we get that as our next mine. There can't be a mine up there, so there must be a mine over here. No mine there either. And this 2 needs a mine over here, and that is our... Okay, that's interesting. The red case actually doesn't work, because we have 4 mines already on the grid, but we also need a mine down there to finish that up, but that's 5. So we know this one is not a mine. Cool. Let's go ahead and get rid of our red marks so they don't clutter things up for our final case. Okay, our last case is just if there's a mine down here, then we can mark off all of these. We can also note now that this one can never be a mine. There we go. Okay. Then this 2 needs mines on both of those cells. That marks this one as never being a mine, so we can mark off both of those and kind of notice that both of our cases have given us, well, no, actually, yeah, they've given us all of our remaining mines. Just remember that there's a yellow mine in one of those 2. So we can then mark that this one is never a mine either, and okay, that 3 is now finished, and it kind of disambiguates us, so there we go. That puzzle has now been completed. Definitely took a bit longer than I thought. It's okay, it just means we'll have a bit less time for combinations. That's alright. We'll go ahead and do mini-cross. This one should be relatively simple. This one actually, if you recall the thing I was talking about earlier, where we talk about like cells that cover multiple squares from a clue, this one deals that a lot. So like for instance, we know this one can't be a mine. If it is, then neither of those are a mine, and this one's false. So there we are. We can actually now mark this one and this one as both not being mines for the same reason. The 0 clue is now finished, and okay. So, alright, I guess one thing we can kind of now start considering, fortunately we kind of made it back to the point where we need to start like looking at just cases for stuff. I guess we'll start with this 1. That tells us there are mines at both of these locations because this one's finished and this 2 needs mines. Versus if there's a mine over here. I'm not necessarily seeing any commonalities, unfortunately, between these cases, so that might be a bit tragic. Instead, maybe be more worth it to look at like this 2, for instance. That tells us there's a mine over here versus this one, which does not really give us a lot of information, versus lastly this one, which tells us that there must also be a mine over there. Okay. But, yeah, and I'm not necessarily seeing any cells that are covered by multiple of these, unfortunately, which is a little bit tragic. I guess we also know then the yellow and red case, this one is always filled in. In the blue case, though, it is still left ambiguous, since there is nothing covering that square. Here's something we can see, though. In the blue case, we know that this one won't be a mine from this, and we also know from the yellow-red case that this one won't be a mine, because the one's already finished, so therefore that one is never a mine. Cool, that's what it looked like it was having us look for. The 0 clue is now finished. Okay. Cool, that actually now leaves us less options for this one. So then we know it's up there. That tells us that since all of these look at this cell, that one cannot be a mine, and the blue case is no longer valid, so we know this one is a mine. There we go. That just gives us information I'll fill in real quick. That was all just from finishing clues and the anti-night logic. That one also there can't be a mine, so there we are. Yeah. We can just kind of keep finishing up clues now. Get both of those, and okay, cool. We only have 3 cells left, 3 mines left. There we are. That one was much quicker. I guess we'll also go ahead and... I can't pass up the opportunity to do Anti-Night, despite the fact that I actually do not like this one very much. The naming of it is too interesting. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully this video doesn't turn into being super long because of this, but it very well may. We'll see. Alright, so I guess the first thing we can consider... I'll start by just running through each of the 1 cases and seeing if any of them break the 2. They don't necessarily break it, but we know that these ones must now be mines because of this. And we'll go ahead and just mark these as non-mines. There's kind of something with anti-night. Usually you do kind of have to run through a lot of this style of logic just because it's the main way you can get information. It's just from seeing if there are any cells, for instance, that just get covered by all of the possible combinations of like implications from any piece of given like assumption. Then we also know that from this 2, both of these ones must be mines, so that gives us that piece of information right there, and also none of those are mines. There we are, and also that one isn't from this up here. And lastly, we can consider the blue case, which covers all of these cells right here, covers that one as well. Okay. And now lastly it tells us blue must have both of these, so mainly we can just mark this one as a mine and mark both of those as always being not mines. Otherwise we can also consider now that none of those can be mines either. Cool. Okay, do any of these cases break the 1? Not necessarily. Yes, actually, the one's just finished, so we also now know the yellow case cannot be correct, so we'll just go ahead and mark this one as being a mine, or non-mine rather. There we go. Okay. Cool. Okay. Okay, one thing we can kind of notice is that since one of these 2 cells will be a mine, and this one looks at both, that can't be a mine, and oof, there we go. That's a lot. Alright, so now we can kind of go ahead and consider maybe some of the cells around this 5. I don't know, this 5 has a lot contained within it. Actually, one thing we can notice is that one of these 2 cells must be a mine from the 2, so that tells us that the cell for this mine, or the mine for this 1 clue rather, is one of these 2. This one thus can't be a mine. There we go, that didn't give us anything. Well. Okay. Well, okay, it looks like... God, I hope I don't have to do, like, the 5 cases. I guess I'll start with something easier, like the 2 ones, for instance. Or maybe the 1 if the 2 cases don't give us any information on their own. We'll first start by assuming this one up here is a mine. And then that gives us all of that. Also that this one down here is a mine. And, okay, is that all it gives us? Yeah, kind of looks like it. Okay. Whereas, if this one's a mine, then we know none of these can be mines. So that also tells us this one over here is a mine. And that actually finishes up this 1, which, never mind, actually. It makes sense that one would not give us any new information because we already knew it wouldn't. So it actually gives us there is a mine over there, which is interesting. It's something at the very least. Okay. Does this break the 5 clue? Not necessarily. This actually really gives us any information on it, unfortunately. It does give us information on this 3 clue, though, which I'm actually now noticing only has 4 cells around it, so that might also be a good candidate to look at if this 2 doesn't pan out. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is more or less all of the information this 2 is going to give us, and it hasn't really given us a lot, tragically. Yeah, okay. It doesn't look like the remaining cells in this 3 have anything connected to them either. Okay. Right. I'm actually going to real quick double check for myself that these 4 like cells don't have any cells that are a mine's distance between them. Does not look like they do. Okay. So I guess now maybe we will. We have a few options here. I guess first I'll consider the 3 possibilities. So here we'll go ahead and just start with like this one being a non-mine, for instance. Then we get all of this. This 2-1 thus must be up here. So we know neither of those are mines either. And okay, does this run into any problems with the 5? No, but it does have all of its remaining mines already kind of chosen now for it. So we can also mark that one up there. And we can just kind of continue to go through, mark those. Right, that's all the 5 stuff. Yeah. Okay. And that gives us this. So cool. That's assuming that this one over here was not a mine. If next we instead assume that this one is not a mine, then what do we get? First of all, we get this stuff right there. We also get that. And this 2 is now finished instead with that one. Okay, but that, yeah, that works. And okay. Oh, actually, something we can see here is that this yellow one had to be a mine there for the 1 clue, and this one over here has to be a mine for the 1 clue now. Right. Yes. Okay. So then we can mark off all of this stuff. Okay. Is there any other information we can glean from this? Oh! Well, actually, here's something we can see. The yellow case doesn't work, because the 2 is now overloaded with this 1's information. So then we can conclude this one must be a mine. Cool. We'll go ahead and get rid of all this for now. I'm just kind of hoping that one of these cells that this mine precludes gives us information. Nope. Cool, that one also didn't. So, okay. Welp. Sick. Looks like we're going back to looking at these cases. That's okay. Right, so what else do we gather from this? Yes, that's... Well, okay, hold on. This actually all finishes up that one, so we can mark that as well. Okay. At the very least, this has kind of simplified some of the casework down now, because we're really now just basically considering between a set of 2 of them that... Okay, that gives us a mine up here. Correct, yes, for this one. So then we can mark off both of these, mark this one as a mine, and mark off all of this stuff. And does this break anything yet? No, it doesn't look like it. What about this 5? Okay, yeah, no, the 5 is doing fine. Okay. What if instead there was a mine here? Then we know this one cannot be a mine. There must then be a mine up there for the 2. Neither of these are mines in that case. And what else do we get? We also get that this one up here is not a mine either. Okay. It actually chooses the 2 mines for the 2, and okay, there we go. We've run into a contradiction with the red case. We could see that these 2 mines are a mine, or these 2 mines are a knight to move apart, so therefore we know the yellow case must be correct. Cool. We can just get rid of all that now, and kind of go ahead and look through our list of deductions we can make on the red case. That one's a mine, so we can now mark off all of these as non-mines. And this one's also finished. Okay, so now we have this 3 clue left for us to use to solve things, I guess. We also actually know neither of those are mines. That could be relevant. Okay, we can actually see from this 2 that only one of these 2 is a mine, and this 5 then needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mines, so we can mark those. And now we have 2 mines left. One of them must be around this 3, one of these 2. So we know that this one over here is a mine, so there we go. That finishes that puzzle, and I think that we're going to go ahead and call it good for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Peace.